All right, get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into a company that's not just riding out this crazy economy.
Mm-hmm.
They are thriving in it,
Yeah,
absolutely crushing it.
absolutely.
We're talking about Updater Services Ltd,
Yes.
UDS, to those in the know.
UBS.
And their performance this past quarter has been, well, remarkable, to say the least.
Really turning heads.
Yeah, turning heads.
Definitely.
And you've been kind enough to send over a ton of info on them, their Q3 and 9-month financials,
Okay.
board meeting notes, even an investor presentation.
Wow.
Looks like someone's been doing their homework.
Yeah, someone has really digging deep.
Definitely somebody has.
It's fascinating stuff, though. What really stands out to me
Yeah.
is that UDS is managing this really impressive balancing act. They've got solid growth, but at the same time, this huge 101% jump in profit year over year.
Whoa, hold on, 101%.
Yeah,
That's not just, stumbling into good fortune. That's got to be some serious strategy at play.
that's strategy, yeah. Not luck.
Yeah. So color me intrigued because, I think we all know UDS, at least on a surface level. They're the ones keeping our offices clean, right?
Right, keeping things running smoothly.
But it sounds like there's a much bigger picture here.
Oh, yeah, much bigger.
So what else is going on? Give us the rundown.
Well, UDS, they've got two main areas that they operate in.
Okay.
And you're right, there's the classic, integrated facility management, IFM,
Yeah, totally.
where they handle everything from, like you said, housekeeping, catering, making sure the lights stay on, all that good stuff.
Right. The essentials, the keeping the wheels turning.
Exactly, the core stuff.
Yeah.
But then they've got this other side, the business support services.
Okay.
BSS for short. And this is where things get really interesting.
All right. So BSS, it's not just mops and meals anymore.
No, not at all.
So what is UDS up to on this side of the business?
They've been on this kind of like a strategic buying spree, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Snapping up companies that let them do a whole lot more, like sales support, background checks for employees, even airport ground handling.
Wow. They really are, like you said, expanding their reach.
Yeah, becoming this one-stop shop for any business that needs, well, support.
Support. I like that.
And it seems to be working.
Yeah. Well, their financials definitely tell a positive story.
Yeah, 12% revenue growth in just the first 9 months of this fiscal year.
12%. That's not bad at all.
Especially given how the economy's been, that's impressive.
For sure. Definitely defying the odds.
But the real story, for me at least,
Mm-hmm.
is that profit jump, that 101%.
Yeah, you don't just accidentally hit those numbers.
No, absolutely not.
So spill it. How are they pulling this off?
Well, a few things. First,
Hmm.
they're getting really tough with contracts. No more settling for those low-margin deals.
Right.
They're laser-focused on clients and services that actually, make a real difference to the bottom line.
So being picky pays off.
It definitely can.
Got it. What else?
They're also, very strategic about focusing on the parts of both IFM and BSS that have the highest margins. It's a classic shift from volume to value.
Makes sense. Less about doing a ton of stuff and more about doing the right stuff.
Exactly.
Doing more of what actually brings in the money.
Exactly.
Okay, but I'm curious, with all this expansion happening,
Mm-hmm.
how are they managing costs?
They're very, very focused on efficiency.
Okay.
Streamlining processes wherever possible. They're squeezing every ounce of value out of every dollar.
So it's like a three-pronged attack.
Yeah, I like that.
Ditch the low-value stuff.
Right.
Prioritize the things that actually make money.
That's it.
And then run a super tight ship.
Yep.
Is that the secret sauce?
It's definitely a powerful combo.
Yeah, a potent recipe for success.
For sure.
So now let's zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
Let's look at each segment of their business and see how the strategy is actually playing out.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Let's start with their, well, let's call it their bread and butter,
Okay.
the IFM side.
IFM.
We're seeing 8% growth there, but what about profitability? Did all this cost-cutting actually pay off on that side?
It did. IFM saw a good bump in profit.
Okay.
And part of that is they're moving towards services that have higher margins.
Give me an example.
Industrial catering, for example,
Interesting.
they can charge a premium for that.
So they're not abandoning their roots, just finding the most profitable branches to grow, I guess.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now what about the BSS side? That's where they've been doing all the acquiring, right?
It is, and honestly, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Oh, really?
Some parts are doing fantastic, others are facing some headwinds.
So like a portfolio, some all-stars, some, well,
Some works in progress.
works in progress, yeah.
Exactly.
I like a good underdog story, so give me the highlights. Which ventures are really exceeding expectations and which ones are still trying to find their footing?
All right, well, Danav is a good example.
Denab.
Their sales enablement arm, they're pouring a lot of resources into AI.
Oh, interesting, to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they're really trying to be cutting edge.
But that's got to be impacting their margins in the short term, right?
It is, yeah. They're definitely taking a hit right now.
So short-term pain for potential long-term gain.
That's the hope.
A bit of a gamble.
It is, yeah. It's a classic Silicon Valley playbook, but risky.
It is.
But it's not all doom and gloom on the BSS side.
Okay, good.
Matrix, their auditing and background check division, is doing incredibly well. So is Avon, their supply chain and logistics arm.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they're spreading the risk a bit.
They are, which is smart.
Diversifying.
Yeah, and that helps balance out, Denav's more, I guess, aggressive approach.
Yeah, so they're building this BSS empire.
It seems that way.
Brick by brick.
Yeah.
But I'm sure not every brick is perfectly laid.
Right, there are always challenges.
So tell me about a BSS challenge that they're facing right now.
Their Athena division, which specializes in BPO telecalling,
Okay.
hit a bit of a snag. They lost a major client.
Oh, that's got to hurt.
It did, yeah.
But are they just sitting around, licking their wounds?
No, not at all. They're actually quite resilient.
Okay, so how are they bouncing back from this loss?
They're diversifying into new sectors, trying to make up for the lost revenue.
It's a classic pivot, adapt or die, right?
Adapt or die, exactly.
Speaking of spreading their wings, what about that airport ground handling business?
Oh, yeah.
Global, right?
Global.
What's the latest there?
Global is finally, taking off.
I see what you did there.
Couldn't resist.
But for real, after years of investing and expanding,
Right.
they finally hit break even.
They have, yeah.
And they've got, 22 airport contracts all across India.
22.
So as those become fully operational, we're talking about some serious growth potential.
Yeah, huge potential.
Like they planted a seed, nurtured it patiently,
Take a long-term view.
and now it's starting to blossom.
It is.
But with all this expansion, all these different subsidiaries,
Yeah.
isn't it getting a bit unwieldy? How are they managing all these moving parts?
That's where their merger strategy comes in.
Okay, tell me more.
They're consolidating several subsidiaries, trying to make the overall structure leaner.
All right, so what does that mean in practice? What's the goal here?
Creating those, magical synergies we hear so much about.
Okay, well, let's demystify synergies for a second, because I feel like that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah, it's a buzzword for sure.
But people don't really explain what it actually means.
All right. Well,
So break it down for us.
it's basically combining the best parts of different teams, getting rid of any redundancies,
Okay.
and suddenly the whole operation is running smoother, more efficiently.
Less overlap, more efficiency.
Exactly.
Got it. But with over 68,000 employees, that's a lot of moving pieces.
It is.
How do they make sure everyone's on the same page?
Well, they just brought in a new CHRO, a Chief Human Resources Officer,
Okay.
to, as they put it, optimize people synergies.
Interesting.
So it's a clear signal that they see their workforce as a key part of their success.
You're not just numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right. They get the people matter.
People power.
Yeah.
Smart move. Because you can have the most brilliant strategy in the world,
Absolutely.
but without the right people to execute it, it's all for nothing.
Completely agree. And that actually leads us to one of the most interesting parts of the UDS story.
Okay, hit me.
Their aggressive move into AI.
AI, the buzzword of the century.
It is, but in UDS's case, it seems to be more than just hype.
Okay, so how are they actually using AI to give themselves an edge?
That's where things get really interesting. And to understand that, we need to take a closer look at that investor presentation you provided.
All right, let's crack it open and see what AI secrets are hiding inside.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're cracking open this investor presentation. Let's see how UDS is actually using AI in their operations.
Right.
We're talking, robots cleaning toilets and serving samosas.
Not quite, although I wouldn't be surprised if someone's working on that.
Right.
But what UDS is doing, it's more subtle. But potentially even more impactful, they're using AI to make their services better.
Okay.
And even create completely new offerings.
So less about replacing humans and more about making them superhuman. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I like that, augmenting human capabilities.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah, give me an example. What's one way they're using AI right now?
Take Denave, their sales enablement arm.
Denav.
Remember we were talking about them investing heavily in AI?
Yeah, they were going all in.
They've developed this AI system. They call it IntelliBank.
IntelliBank, that sounds very futuristic.
It does, doesn't it?
What does it actually do?
Well, imagine you have a sales guru who's analyzed like millions of data points.
Okay.
That's kind of what IntelliBank does.
Uh-huh.
It analyzes all this sales data, finds patterns, and then it can actually predict which leads are most likely to become paying customers.
So no more chasing dead ends.
Exactly. It helps their sales teams focus their energy where it matters most.
That's got to be a huge boost to efficiency.
It is, and it's not just in sales. They're using AI in other areas, too.
Okay, give me another example.
Okay, over in Matrix, their auditing and background check division, they've rolled out this digital platform they call Max 2.
Max 2. Sounds like something out of a spy movie.
Right.
Is it going to like track down rogue employees or something?
Huh, not quite.
Yeah.
But it does make background checks way more efficient.
How so?
It automates a lot of those really tedious tasks,
Like what?
like verifying employment history, education credentials, even criminal records.
Wow, so it's faster, more accurate,
Yeah, and it can handle way more checks than a human ever could.
and potentially save them money in the process.
Exactly. So it's like they've given their background check team this super-powered assistant.
I like that analogy. So it sounds like a lot of this AI is about making their current processes better, more efficient.
Yeah, a lot of it is about optimization.
But are they using it to actually create new things, new services?
Yeah. They are. One area they're exploring is using AI-powered chatbots for customer service.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine a chatbot that can answer all those basic questions, the routine stuff.
Right, so the human agents can focus on the more complex issues.
Exactly, the stuff that actually requires that human touch.
Okay, so an army of UDS chatbots handling everything from booking catering orders to scheduling background checks. I can see it now.
Yeah, it's not hard to imagine.
But aren't they risking losing that personal touch that a lot of people appreciate?
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
Finding that balance, it's not about replacing humans altogether.
Right.
It's about using AI to handle the things that AI is good at,
Okay.
which frees up humans to focus on the things that humans are good at.
So augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them.
Exactly.
But let's be real for a second. This AI stuff isn't cheap.
No, it's not.
Are they sure this is all going to pay off?
Well, it's a gamble. There's no doubt about that.
What are some of the challenges they're facing?
Well, first off, the cost. Like you said, developing and implementing these AI systems, that takes a lot of money up front.
Yeah, it's not just, plug and play. There's research, development, all of that.
Right. It's a big investment.
And that investment doesn't necessarily translate into immediate returns, right?
Exactly. As we saw with Denave, their margins are taking a hit right now.
Right.
The question is, will those long-term gains materialize?
So it's a bit of a waiting game. You plant the seed, you nurture it, and you hope it bears fruit.
That's a good analogy.
What else are they up against with this AI push?
Well, there's also the potential for job displacement.
Right, that's the kind of the elephant in the room when we talk about AI.
It is. As AI automates more tasks, some roles might become obsolete.
Yeah, it's understandable that people are worried about robots taking their jobs.
Of course.
So what's UDS doing to mitigate that risk, I guess?
They seem to be taking a proactive approach. They're investing in upskilling their workforce.
Okay.
So they're providing training programs to help their employees adapt, learn new skills, the kind of skills that are in demand in this, AI-driven world.
So it's not just about, pushing people aside. It's about equipping them for the future.
Yeah, they're trying to bring everyone along for the ride.
I like that approach. So it's not AI versus humans. It's humans with AI.
Exactly. It's a collaboration.
Okay, so back to the big question. Will this AI gamble actually pay off for UDS?
It's hard to say for sure.
But do they have a fighting chance? What makes you think they might be able to pull this off?
I think they do have a few things working in their favor.
Okay, let's hear it.
First, they have a track record of execution. They've shown they can acquire companies, integrate them well, and drive profitable growth. They're not new to this.
So they've proven themselves in the traditional business world, and now they're bringing those skills to the AI arena.
Exactly. They've got a solid foundation.
What else is working in their favor?
They're being very strategic about their AI investments. They're targeting areas where AI can really make a difference.
So no scattergun approach.
No, it's very focused.
Smart. Okay, what's the third factor that gives them an edge?
They understand that AI is a tool.
Right.
It's not a magic solution. It needs humans to wield it effectively.
Yeah, the human element is still crucial.
Absolutely. And their investment in their workforce, making sure their employees are AI savvy, that's a really smart move.
So it's like they're building this this human AI dream team.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They're strategic, they're efficient, they value their people. It's a pretty compelling combination.
It is, but there's a bigger picture here.
Okay, what are we missing?
How does UDS's AI strategy fit into the broader business landscape in India?
Right. We need to zoom out a little bit.
Exactly, because there's a lot happening in the Indian business services market right now.
Set the scene for me. What are the key trends and how does AI fit into all of this?
Well, India is already a global leader in business services outsourcing, and it's only going to get bigger. The market is expected to grow massively in the next few years.
Wow. Okay, so it's booming, but what's driving that growth?
It's being driven by the demand for things like digital transformation solutions, cloud computing, and of course, AI.
So it's a hot market,
Yeah.
ripe for disruption, and AI is the weapon of choice.
Exactly. And the companies that can use AI effectively to be more efficient, cut costs, and create new value for their clients, those are the companies that are going to come out on top.
And it sounds like UDS is determined to be one of those winners.
They're putting in the work, making the investments.
But there's always a wild card, right?
There's one more piece of the puzzle that we need to talk about.
Ooh, I love a good mystery.
It's the elephant in the AI room, so to speak.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
It's regulation.
Ah, the government factor. Always a wild card.
Always.
Tell me more.
Well, India doesn't have a specific AI law yet,
Okay.
but there are a lot of initiatives in the works that could have a big impact on how companies use AI.
So UDS can't just assume it's business as usual. They need to be paying attention to this.
Absolutely. And that's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore how these emerging AI regulations could impact UDS's business and what it could mean for the entire Indian business services market.
Okay, so we've got UDS making this big push into AI, but looming over it all is this question mark of government regulation.
Right.
What kind of rules are we talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
And how could they impact, UDS's, their whole game plan?
Well, like I said, India doesn't have a full-blown AI law in place just yet,
Right.
but there are several things brewing that could have a major impact. And
Okay.
one of the big ones is
Yeah.
data protection.
Data protection, okay.
AI systems, they thrive on data.
Right. Got to feed the beast.
Exactly. And India's got this personal data protection bill.
Mhm.
It's in the works.
Okay.
But it's going to set some pretty strict rules on how companies can collect, store, and use all
Right.
that information.
So UDS wants to train its fancy AI algorithms
Right.
on all this customer data.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to make sure they're playing by the rules.
Absolutely. No more Wild West, like you said.
Right. No more data rodeo.
Exactly.
It's interesting, though, because it feels like it goes beyond just, checking the boxes.
It does.
It's about, building trust
Yeah,
with customers, right?
absolutely.
They're more aware of data privacy these days.
They are. They want to know that companies are handling their data responsibly.
Exactly. So UDS needs to be transparent
Transparency is key.
about how they're using this data.
Yes.
Otherwise, they risk, losing that trust.
Absolutely. It can evaporate quickly.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes game for sure.
It is.
But data protection is just one piece of this regulatory puzzle, right?
It is.
What other hurdles are they facing?
Well, there's this growing concern about AI systems, making biased or unfair decisions.
Right, because they can.
They can.
And that has real-world consequences.
Absolutely. It's like that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Right. If you train an AI on biased data, you're going to get biased results.
Exactly.
It's not just about making AI that works. It's about making AI that's, ethical.
That's right.
That's fair. And that's a tough thing to regulate.
Yeah. How do you even begin to do that?
It's a challenge, but governments are starting to demand more transparency
Okay.
from companies that use AI.
Okay.
So UDS is going to have to be able to explain how their systems work,
Right.
what data they use, how they make decisions.
No more hiding behind it's just an algorithm excuse.
Right. The black box is no longer acceptable.
So it's all about, lifting the veil.
Yeah.
Showing the world that there's no funny business going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
But transparency is one thing.
Yeah.
How do you actually prevent AI from, becoming a little too powerful?
That's where things get really interesting.
Uh-huh.
We're starting to see discussions around concepts like human oversight,
Okay.
meaningful human control.
The idea is to make sure that humans are still in control.
Right.
Even as AI systems get more sophisticated.
It's like putting a leash on a super intelligent dog.
Yeah. I like that.
You want to give it some freedom,
Right.
but you also want to be able to rein it in if things get out of hand.
Exactly.
But with all these regulations, popping up left and right,
Mm-hmm.
how can UDS keep up?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like trying to hit a moving target.
It is. The regulatory landscape is constantly shifting.
Right.
So UDS needs to be agile, adaptable.
You can't just react.
Yeah.
They need to be proactive.
Exactly. Anticipate the next move.
Okay, so what gives UDS an edge in this regulatory chess match?
Well, they've built a good reputation as a
Yeah.
responsible company.
Okay.
They're not just chasing profits. They've
Mhm.
shown that they're willing to, engage with stakeholders,
Right.
be part of the solution.
Okay.
And that kind of goodwill can go a long way.
Especially when regulators are taking a close look at,
Yeah.
new and potentially disruptive technology.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about what they do, it's about how they do it.
That's right.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
UDS's financial performance, their AI strategy, these regulatory challenges.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
And it's really a story that I think has something for everyone.
Right, whether you're, an investor looking at UDS's stock,
Yeah.
an entrepreneur thinking about using AI.
Or just someone who's curious about the future.
Yeah, what are the key takeaways here?
Well, first, AI is not just hype. It's real. It's happening.
It's here to stay.
It is.
Second, success in this age of AI.
Yeah.
It requires more than just technical skill.
I need strategy.
Right.
You need to be able to execute.
Mhm.
And you need to understand the human element.
It's about humans and AI working together.
Absolutely. And finally, regulation matters.
Can't ignore the government factor.
No, you can't. And companies that can navigate this complex landscape,
Yeah.
those are the ones that are going to succeed.
It's a call to action for all of us, really.
It is.
We need to stay informed about AI, its potential, its risks, and the rules that are shaping its development.
We all have a role to play.
So that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Updater Services Ltd, UDS.
UDS, quite a company.
It is. And who knows what the future holds.
Yeah, who knows?
But I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on this company
I'm glad to hear that.
and the forces that are shaping its future.
It's a fascinating story.
It is, and I think it offers a lot of valuable insights for all of us
I agree.
as we navigate this exciting and sometimes uncertain
Definitely uncertain.
age of AI.
Yeah, the future's unwritten.
Well said. Well said.